Day, what's up, and welcome back to another episode of Gizmo Slip Tech. Today we're talking about all of the very best gaming laptops that money can buy. We're gonna go through the top 10, but we're also gonna go through a bunch of honorable mentions that almost made the top 10. It's really close for like entering the top 10. Like the top 20 are all very similar, and then like the top like 7 or 8 really stand out. We're gonna be looking at my ranked 2023 gaming laptop list. Now, this is going to be for all of the new generation of CPUs and GPUs. It doesn't mean that you can't buy an RTX 3000 series laptop. There are going to be still some great deals on those 3070, 3080s, even 3060s. Just make sure that whatever computer you buy has a great CPU, GPU, and display. Those are the three most important things. And then hopefully you're getting a really good deal if you're going to go for an older generation laptop. This combined laptop rating combines thermal design, display quality, build design quality, bang for the buck, premium features, keyboard, mouse, battery life, and ports. And all of these different factors come into play when you're rating a laptop. I have a link right here if you want to have a more detailed explanation of how the ratings work. Diving right into it, let's talk about the honorable mentions first. If you click anywhere on the list with the expansion button, you'll be able to open up the window here. We're going to start with the Asus Duo 16. Didn't make it because of the bang for the buck. This is going to be a very specialized laptop. You're paying a premium price for the dual displays, and that just really hurts the laptop rating score. Other than that, it's got very high ratings. The Acer Predator Helios 16 and 18. This machine is going to be a good bang for the buck, but we're going to have to see the actual official pricing in the US. We haven't seen that yet. I'm expecting it to happen soonish, maybe sometime later this month. I don't know. It just wasn't in the initial launch. But it's the only 18-inch laptop this year that features a 1000 nits or higher mini LED display. And I really like it because it's also a 250 hertz display at the same time. So like double thumbs up there. Now, the reason this didn't make the top 10 is because the thermal design is just not as high and as well done, because it's only 165 watt GPU TDP, and you can't go up to an RTX 4090 at all with it. Another honorable mention goes to the Zephyrus G14. We'll have to see what kind of sales and pricing we get on the G14, but this could bump up significantly in the bang for the buck category, and that would really help this laptop's rating overall. The Flow X16 is another fantastic machine that didn't quite make the top 10. Got a fantastic 1100 nits QHD 240 Hz display, but the GPU and CPU don't go to as high a TDP, though you can hook it up to an XG Mobile for extra boost to performance. I still think this machine could be fantastic if you need something more portable. Same for the Flow X13. Both these machines are fantastic, but they didn't make the top 10 because they're a little bit more specialized for those people that want that extra portability. Another honorable mention goes to the XMG Neo 17 and 16. These are 16 by 10 aspect ratio laptops, and you can add a water cooler to this machine. It's going to be freaking awesome. I think this one almost made the top 10. It was like right at the cutoff to not making it. Like it's like 11th or 12th or something like that. Such a cool idea from XMG, but we need to see how the laptops actually perform. Maybe it'll exceed our expectations and it'll go even higher in the ranks. Another honorable mention that's kind of like 11th or 12th as well is the MSI GE78. It's got an i9-13980HX with an RTX 4080, 175 watt, 17-inch 16 by 10 aspect ratio display. So this is MSI's flagship 16 by 10 aspect ratio laptop this year. You can get a QHD 240 Hz, $35.99, or you can go for the 4090 version for $400 more. And I did pre-order one of these guys, and I'm very curious about this thing. It looks really freaking cool. It's got a fantastic new light bar in the front, translucent arrow keys and WASD keys, 250 total TDP watts to the CPU and GPU combined, and it should be very overclocking friendly, though not as powerful as the GT77, which has 4 fans and more heat pipes. So this should still be an excellent overall performance laptop though. And this one has an upgraded webcam compared to the GT77 that has a lower resolution. And this one's much more reasonably priced. So I think the GE78 will be much more popular than the GT77. And the GT77 is primarily going to be for those seeking the ultimate in performance. Coming in at number 10, we have the Aorus 17X. This features an RTX 4080 with 175 watts, 16 gigs of DDR5, 1 terabyte SSD, QHD 240Hz, 100% DCI-P3 color gamut. We don't know the nits brightness on this display yet. It is $27.99 with a metal chassis, per key RGB backlight on the keyboard. It's very thin at 0.86 inches thin, and the port selection on it is very good. It doesn't have a full-size SD card slot. You got a mini display port. I made a video about this. If you want to check out that full video, it's right here on the laptop list. Now, you can also get the Aorus 17X with an RTX 4090. That's going to run you $38.99, which is not a great price, I don't think, after seeing the Scar 16 being, $36.99. But I think this is a decent price and better bang for the buck than what some of the other brands are offering. Next up, we have the Lenovo Pro 5 with a Ryzen 5 7645HX and an RTX 4050. This is going to be one of the best bang for the buck laptops this year. I'm pretty dang certain of it. The key thing here is that we're getting some lower end CPU and GPU to lower the price, but you're still getting a fantastic QHD 240Hz display. We need to see pricing to know for sure if this truly deserves being in the top 10, but I'm predicting it should be. Next, we have the Asus TUF A16 with a Ryzen 9 7940HS. That's the new generation 7000 series. It's built on an ultra efficient 4nm process with a Radeon RX 77 S GPU, 120 watt. That's roughly equal to like 140 watt GPU rating from NVIDIA. QHD 240Hz, high quality display, good build quality. I got my hands on with this laptop at CES, and I was impressed with the Asus TUF design, and the overall fit and feel and finish of this laptop is excellent. I think a lot of people are going to really love this, especially if it's priced very competitively. This one, though, is going to be delayed probably until later this year, maybe April, May, June timeframe. We'll have to actually see when it comes out. Next up, we have the Lenovo Legion Pro 7i with an RTX 4080 or 4090. The 4080 version is going to run you $2749, which is, I think, very reasonable given all of the premium features and the high-end equipment in this machine. It doesn't compete very well against some of the higher-end, better deal laptops out there, in my opinion, in terms of bang for the buck. I think the Strix G18 is a little bit better here, value, because it has a better processor, a better display, but you're getting some nice things with the Legion Pro 7 and 7i series. You're getting all metal chassis, you're getting a reasonable battery life, you're getting, I think, excellent RGB implementation, though not as good as previous years. There's no longer RGB in the vents, and this year's Legion Pro 7 is a little bit heavier than the previous generations as well, so you got to keep that in mind. Number 6 on our list is the Alienware M18 and Alienware M16. Now, we don't know the price of the Alienware M18 yet, but the Alienware M16 right here is available for $25.99 with an i9 13900HX, an RTX 4080 175 watt, 16 gigs of DDR5, 1 terabyte SSD, and a 16-inch QHD 240Hz. That's over 300 nits. We don't know what the max nits on it is, though. Overall, this is going to be a fantastic bang for the buck, especially because it comes with so many ports as well as 4 SSD slots. So if you need a lot of storage, this is going to be probably the best option in the 16-inch category. Number 4, we have the Razer Blade 18 and Razer Blade 16. These two laptops are very good. I got my hands on with them multiple times at CES. The build quality is just as good as you'd expect from Razer. It's a unibody aluminum chassis. It's extremely rigid, it's going to be thinner than most of the laptops out there, and the footprint of the overall device is still smaller than most other laptops. But this year, the Blade 16 and 18 is much thicker and larger than the last generation, Blade 15 and 17. And they did this increased thickness to increase the performance and power of these machines. Now, the main downside to the Blade 16 and 18 is that the keyboard is not, I think, the best on the market. It's not as big. The keys aren't as spaced as well, especially the arrow keys. You don't have function keys. You don't have number pad keys, especially on an 18-inch. That's a little bit weird. Overall, I think this machine has some of the best premium features on the market with a 5 megapixel camera on the Blade 18. Windows Hello is featured on almost all of the machines, but a 5 megapixel webcam is extremely rare. So So if you do a lot of meetings, the webcam may actually lead you to switching over to the Blade 18 just for that feature alone. I'm actually really tempted by the Blade 18 because I do so many live streams and video calls with my team and with other brands and everything, and having a higher quality webcam is very important to me. Overall, the Blade 16 and Blade 18 should have great performance. The main downside here is the upcharge, the Razer tax. You know, starting at $35.99 for an RTX 4080 is several $100s more than most of the other brands this year. The highest end Blade 18 with an RTX 4090 costs $44.99. Yes, that is a killer amount of money. It's not the most expensive laptop on the list, but it's pretty dang close. The Blade series is going to be incredible this year, but the touchpad, the unibody aluminum chassis, the upgraded webcams, a lot of these features, and especially the smaller footprint, set the Blade series apart from most of the other laptops this year, especially since now the Blade series has full TDP GPUs, which in previous generations, they didn't really have the full TDP. For number 4, we have the Asus Strix Scar 17. This is the AMD variant of the Scar series this year in last year's Scar 17 body. It's going to have the new Ryzen 9 7945HX Dragon Range 16-core 32-thread CPU. This thing's going to be a monster. It has an 80 megabyte cache, which should help improve gaming performance, especially in CPU-bound esports type of games, which I really love because I'm a big Apex Legends player. That's the main game I play. This laptop right here is really high on the list for me for potential upgrades. Next up, we have the MSI GT77. This is number 3 this year, 88.2% laptop rating. This is the RTX 4090 variant with 64 gigs of RAM, but you can get this with 128 gigs of RAM with an upgraded 4 terabyte SSD for $52.99. So if you want to spend some extra money and just get bragging rights to have 128 gigs of RAM, you can do that. The standout features this year is 250 watts of continuous TDP between the CPU and GPU, the incredible ability to overclock the i9-13980HX, according to what the MSI reps claimed when I was at CES. And then, of course, you've got the 144 hertz 4K 1000 nits display. Absolutely an incredible eye-watering display. The display was so bright, it was blowing out my camera more than I anticipated, so I didn't get very good shots of the display because it was so bright. In addition to all of this performance, this machine is still fairly thin at 0.91 inches thin. It's a very portable machine, but it's deeper. It's like when you look at the laptop, most laptops are between like 10 and maybe 12 inches deep. This thing is 13 inches deep. It's not going to fit in every backpack because it's so wide. As a matter of fact, I measured my backpack that I took to CES, and this GT77 would not fit in it. And it was one of the factors that made me go, you know what? I probably can't take a GT77 with me all the time, everywhere I go, when I go to conventions and stuff. So I should probably skip the GT77 this year. Overall, though, if you don't need to haul around with you all the time, this is probably the #1 desktop replacement if you want the most CPU performance and GPU performance in the same package. The Alienware M18 is the other major competitor, and maybe the XMG Neo 17 with the liquid water cooler could also potentially compete for raw performance this year. We'll have to actually do benchmarks and test to see what the most powerful laptop is this year. And I've got an overview in-depth video of the MSI GT77 if you want to learn more about it. Number 2 this year is the Asus Strix G16 and G18 series. The G16, I have yet to see that go up for sale, but the G18 is for sale on pre-order right now. It's an incredible price compared to all the other RTX 4080 and 4090 laptops for sale at $24.99. It's an i9-13980HX that can go up to 175 watts in the short term, 145 watts long term for just the CPU performance, which is insane. RTX 4080, 175 watt, 240 watts of continuous power going through this machine. So it's got a superb overall cooling and thermal solution in it, and it's got some nice RGB with a light bar, and I do like the material that Asus uses on these machines. It makes it very comfortable to do long gaming sessions, and the keyboard and trackpad are also excellent. So that's why this machine is rated so highly on my list and got number 2. For number one, we have the Scar 18 and Scar 16. Now, we have yet to see the Scar 18 up for sale in the United States. So we don't know the price on that. I expect it to be like 100 or 200 more than the Scar 16, but maybe it'll be the same price. The Scar 16 coming in at $36.99 for an RTX 4090. And that is just mind-blowing because the MSI top of the line and Razer Blade top of the line laptops are costing between, $800 to $1,500 more than the Scar 16. So to me, when you factor all of the features of a laptop together with the potential performance of that laptop, the price and the display, the Scar 16 simply has it all, and it has all of it at a more reasonable price than the competition. The main downsides to the Scar 16, in my opinion, is the ports. It doesn't have a full-size SD card slot. It only has 4 total USB connections to it. I would much prefer if it had 5 or 6. And there's no ports on the back this year, but that's how they improved the performance of this machine to take it to the next level. So for me this year, the Scar 16 is my number one pick so far based on the features. And I have ordered a lot of these top laptops from this list, and I will be reviewing them, or the brands are going to be sending me laptops for review. So if you don't want to miss out on live stream unboxings of these, live benchmarking of these, and of course, detailed reviews with graphs and detailed comparisons between these laptops, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. This year's laptop lineup is looking absolutely freaking epic. Which laptops are you most looking forward to in 2023? Have you already pre-ordered one? Let me know in the comments down below. That's it for my top 10 laptops for 2023 so far. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Brandon out.